Hello, my name is Marjón Meyer, and today I'm going to talk to you about getting that job, good interview skills, and what are the things that you need to keep in mind as a youngster if you would like to have a vacation job, a temporary job, but also moving into your first job. Ons kan ook lekker in Afrikaans praat, maar hierdie video word in Engels gemaak sodat ons meer mense kan bereik. Maar jy's welkom om my te kontak en dan kan ek en jy lekker Afrikaans praat. Now, jobs are scarce in South Africa. That's something that is not news to you. It's something that is really, it has increased after lockdown. It's really difficult for people to find a job, especially people who are unemployed. Maybe you know someone, maybe somebody in your household has lost his or her job, retrenchment as a result of lockdown, of the COVID virus. And it's very difficult to not feel really terrible about yourself if you no longer have the ability to earn an income, provide for your family. So it's something we would like to avoid. But our focus today is not about how to recover from retrenchment. Our focus is today, how do you get that job? How do you make a success of that interview, that chance that you have? You will see that also we will speak about entrepreneurship, those of you who rather have the skill to do your own thing. But this is focused on working for an employer. And perhaps the way that you've been treated at school, at home, at varsity, wherever you are in your family, is going to be very different in your first workplace, whether it is a temporary position or whether you are applying for something a little bit more formal. What is important, though, is that you need to make sure that you sell yourself. You have a brand. What is your brand? I'm going to expand on that a little bit later. You need to show your brand. Coca-Cola still advertises, and everybody knows Coke. You may wonder, why do they still bother advertising? Because Coke's philosophy is people need to know that we are everywhere. So whether you go to a little town in Drakensberg, you will see on a little shop alongside the road, up on the mountain, there is a Coca-Cola board advertising the name of the spaza shop. Or whether you are in a famous restaurant, you will see Coke is there. So Coke tells the world, I am everywhere. It also tells people, I'm consistent. I'm always the same. When Coca-Cola changed their logo, when they changed their recipe to vanilla Coke and that, to cherry Coke, they had big trouble because they were no longer consistent. So you need to be like Coke. You need to be you, authentically you, and you need to go out there and show people what you are worth. You are unique. You don't have to lose weight. You don't need another degree for now in order to get a job. Oh yes, education, qualification, very important, but we're going to talk about that. In our country, we need far more plumbers and artisans than when we need qualified people with degrees. This beautiful picture was taken on a holiday in Italy, in the Tuscany Valley. And as we drove down this road, I thought this looks a little bit like life. You don't really know what's going to happen around that corner. Did we know what happened March when we were on 3 weeks lockdown? Did we have any idea what it is going to extend into? But it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a road because you don't know where it's going. We should still have a vision. You should have a dream. Our dreams change, but it gives us a starting point. We don't always know what is around that corner, what happens around that bend, but you need to have a vision. What is your vision? And another word for vision is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? How do you see you can serve the world? What are your talents? What are your strengths? Yeah, be aware of your weaknesses, but let's use our strengths and say, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, and therefore I think I can make a contribution in life, in an organization. Or you know what, I won't fit into a corporate organization. I will be a rebel of notes. I should rather be an entrepreneur. And it's important to know those things about yourself and use a lot of time, boys and girls, to think about what it is that you want to do, how you want to work. So if I work with youngsters to give them career guidance, the first question I always ask is, do you want to work inside or do you want to work outside? That is a vital, vital question. Do you want to work in a high-rise building in Sandton or Waterfall Park? Or do you want to work out in the veld? That's where you should start thinking about your vision. And when you do go for an interview at, let's say, a corporate organization, please do your homework online. Whether you're going to waiter for a restaurant or whether you're going to go for a high-profile position as, let's say, an article clerk somewhere, make sure that you read up about this company that you're about to visit. Go check out who are the people on their directorship, what is their vision, what is their mission, what are their values, know where they are. I've conducted many interviews in my life as an HR manager. And you know, it is actually quite sad that you find senior people or eager youngsters and they don't even know what the company does. That is always one of my questions. I will always ask any person who comes for an interview, so what do you know about us? And even if you're wrong, even if you don't get it 100% right, I can hear whether you've done your homework. Please do your homework about the company that you're about to visit. Know something about the industry. Get to know who are the people that you are about to visit. So let's think for a moment. Maybe you can halt the video here a little bit and just say, what would you look for when you interview a young candidate? What if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a manager, what would you want in a human? And this is now except academic qualifications. That's a given. Certain positions you need certain qualifications for. So I'm not really going to discuss that. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I just want to remind you, nobody's ever stopped me in my career and said, so how many distinctions did you get in matric? Or did you pass your degree cum laude? Nobody's ever asked me. Those things are important because when you are at school, when you are at varsity, that's your job. So if you have the potential to get 90, get 90. But if it's your potential to get 60, get 60. That's good enough. Do the best you can. Wherever you are, whether you're making a cup of tea for your granny, for your mom, for your sister, very resentfully so, make it the best cup of tea she's ever going to have. Because that says a lot about your quality of work that you're going to put into your career one day. Whatever it is, making your bed, I hope for heaven's sakes you are making your bed. There's nothing as terrible as laziness. There are two things there are no tablets for: laziness and stupidity. So please ensure that you have embraced those, that you are a person who's enthusiastic. And you don't have to be super duper perfectionistic. There's a lot of room for being creative, for being different, for being dramatic, for thinking out of the box. We need this in the new future. We need this in the fourth industrial revolution. But make sure that you have the qualities that it takes to be a hard worker and to be the best person you can be. Not somebody else, you. So I've asked around a little bit, and here are some of the traits that the people say they want in an ideal candidate. You can check this later and perhaps tick off those boxes. They want, first of all, excellent attendance and dependability. In South Africa, pre-lockdown, one of the biggest problems that HR in organizations have to deal with is people faking sick leave, people not being at work. Now, the whole world of work has changed because many jobs have proven that we can work from home. So whether you are supposed to work from home at your own computer or whether you are supposed to be at work, be there. In time, on time. You must be dependable. I must be able to depend on you. And remember, boys and girls, we start at the bottom. You don't start becoming a manager. So if you are dependable as a bottle washer in a restaurant, we know that one day you can be dependable as a manager or wherever you would like to go to. Dependable. In other words, a person of integrity. Your word is your word. Jy's 'n man of 'n vrou van haar woord. So don't make idle threats or promises. Flexibility. How flexible are you? Or are you rigid? This is one thing that the world has taught us in the past few months, is we need to think differently. Are you flexible or are you rigid? Integrity and honesty. Same what I said earlier. Are you motivated and dedicated? Remember, it's nobody's job to fire you up for a job. It's nobody's job to wake you up in the morning and ensure that you are at work on time. You've grown up. Behave like that. Be detail-oriented. A lot of mistakes are made by people who don't pay attention to detail. You don't send out a WhatsApp, an email with a spelling mistake. Yeah, we all make a mistake from time to time, and especially if you type something in Afrikaans, autocorrect sometimes makes things really difficult. But read your email or send it to somebody that you trust who has good language skills. And teenage talk on a professional email is not going to do the trick. Also, be team-oriented, even if you're an individualistic person. Even if you choose and prefer your own company, most of us operate in a team of some form, especially at the junior levels. Also, a strong work ethic. When there's 50 Rand somewhere in a drawer, make sure that you give it to the manager. Strong work ethic means you're on time, you're good with the resources, you make sure that nothing disappears from the office environment, you're good with how things are done. So ethics means you never have to look over your shoulder. You do the right thing even if nobody is watching you. Also, being positive, polite. There's nothing as beautiful, as sexy, as attractive as a boy or a girl with good manners, or grown-ups for that matter. Good manners. Let your grandmother be proud of you. Approachable. Have a smile on your face. Make it easy for people to talk to you. You can't be a waiter in a restaurant or servicing customers or in a call center if you sound unfriendly. And if you don't have a smile on your face, you're not going to have a smile in your voice. Also, continuous improvement oriented. As much as you think you know everything, and as much as you are better with technology than your parents, I'm sorry, boys and girls, you don't know everything yet. In fact, your brain is only completely developed by the age of 25. I don't know everything yet. Nobody ever knows everything. So what is important to the right candidate is somebody who's willing to always learn something new and have an openness, and more than that, have the courage to say, I don't know. Don't fake skills. Don't. Good communication skills, the way you speak, the way you write, the way you text. This is very important in business and become increasingly more important as we digitalize organizations. Actually, hands-on demonstration and a capacity to solve problems. If there's one thing I want in employees in my organization, is not people who are perfect, but people who know how to solve a problem. It doesn't matter who made the mistake. Blaming people doesn't help. I don't care who in the company has made a mistake. I want to hear that you are going to run with my problem and solve it. Do you have that kind of approach at home? Or is it about blaming, it wasn't me, it wasn't me? Or are you a person who focuses and says, it happened, it is what it is, now let's find a solution? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what employers are saying, what they're looking for. How are you doing on this scale? Also, do you believe in gut feeling? Because gut feeling is what I very often use when I'm doing interview. My gut feeling tells me this person is going to be right or wrong for the position. Yes, and I have been wrong because we always get a chance to give a good impression. But just remember this, you only have one opportunity for a positive first impression. So whether you like it or not, dress well. Rather be overdressed for an interview than underdressed. Even if the organization's dress code is very relaxed, even if you're going to work from home, if you bother to pitch up on time, you bother to put on something nice and professional, you're well groomed, it says that you value yourself first of all, you're a respectful individual, and you value my organization enough to actually look fabulous. Make sure that you allow people's gut feeling to be positive towards you. Then in terms of your CV, and this will be another episode where I teach you how to write a good CV, but we only want a one-page CV. One page. That's it. There are fantastic templates available. That's it. Also, anticipate the questions people are going to ask you. Ask around. Ask your parents, Your parents have a lot of experience, good ones and bad ones, because we can often learn from unsuccessful interviews as well. So do your homework, go read up on the internet about this organization, and ask around, what type of questions can I actually expect in an interview so that you can prepare mentally for those. In terms of your CV, don't give people a ramble of many, many pages, because you know what, they don't read it. What makes your CV different? What's going to make your CV stand out? And most of CVs are submitted digitally. So again, make sure that it stands out. And people are lazy to read, or people are overwhelmed, or they have a heavy workload. They don't have time for a long CV anyway. Now, money or remuneration very often seems to be the final determining factor. But you know what? If it's your first job, if this is vac work, if it is holiday work, if this is a temporary job, I'm tempted to say, even if you have to work for free for a while, do it. Because experience on your CV proves that you have operated in a team in some form of an organization is almost worth more than the money you will receive. We're not denying the importance of money. But if you are in a position, like over a holiday or a short period of time, to volunteer somewhere, to work for free, to work for a reduced rate, do it. I have seen how people get positions because they were willing to work even if it was for free. Money is important, but you're hopefully not at a point yet where you have to look after a family and have a lot of financial obligations. If you do, obviously your take on this will be different. So think carefully about money. Make sure that you also do some research. Maybe you can have open conversations with people in similar positions and ask around. Although salary should theoretically be confidential, there are people who are willing to share those. And if you know how to Google, you will probably find a ballpark figure of what a respectful salary should be for a position like yours. But again, I want to emphasize, in this world where you are competing with 1/3 of your generation who don't have jobs, perhaps you should consider doing something for free. And if you do it really well, hopefully it will go into something more valuable to you. I'm also not into exploitation. So where you feel that you are being exploited, you need to move out of it. But the experience you will gain, what it will do for your CV, is invaluable. It is priceless. Many schools, many universities require you to do community work. And I have teenagers too. I know how you can wangle those hours out of somebody that you know. But you're not doing yourself any justice. Learning how to work, learning how organization works, learning what hard work really is one of the best lessons you can learn in order to find a job. Right, what is important is your references. Who are the people that can actually give you a good reference for who you are? Now, remember, with today's technology and verifying organizations like MIE, we can check everything, whether you have a real valid driver's license, whether your qualifications are real, whether you've studied at a legitimate organization. So don't even think about defrauding those. And if ever you have that on your record, that you have defrauded an organization about a reference or a qualification, you're going to struggle to find any other job. I have a lot of respect for someone who says, you know what, I gave up in my second year. I realized this is not what I wanted to study, but I learned this and this and this. And these are the subjects I have. Do not fake qualifications. It's easy. Even your driver's license needs to be authentic. We can check it on the eNatus system, and companies do. It's too expensive to employ people who have fraudulent backgrounds. So please ensure that you are honest with the way that in the first place you actually get qualifications or any form of authenticity or accreditation. Make sure that it's real. Now, apart from your qualifications, references would be people who stand in for you, for your character, yes, and that's great, but you know your granny or your favorite minister or your teacher is not going to do the trick for me. I need to speak to somebody who you work with. I also ask questions in an interview such like, please tell me about the biggest mistake you've ever made. Because I don't care about the mistake. We all do. I've made plenty of mistakes. But what I want to hear is how you've recovered and how you've handled that mistake. That's what I want to hear. So I recently had somebody in an interview who told me, oh, I don't really make mistakes, or I haven't really made a mistake. Well, you know what? Then you're not a real human. Again, anticipate those kind of questions. Be honest about everything, but truth eventually comes out anyway. Make sure that you have some good, valuable references. Can you see how that volunteer work of yours, that work of yours, how that can count in your favor if you have somebody who can vouch for you in terms of your work ethics? In terms of the interview, remember, you are your own brand. Make sure that people know who you are. What makes you different from the other 10, 20, 100 or thousands of people that have applied for these positions? And we've listed some of those traits earlier in the ideal character. Now, people often ask me, so what do I talk about? Remember, your job in an interview is to be guided by the interviewer, but it's a very good sign for me if a young person or any person coming for an interview also has questions, and not just about the salary. In fact, it's really bad timing to ask about the salary during the first interview, as important as it is, unless the opportunity comes up, because then it sounds like the only reason why you're working. So ask questions about the organization. Say to the interviewer and say, I read up about your organization on the internet. I'm curious about this, or how does that work? Because your questions also tell me that you're inquisitive. So can you hear what are the things that are important? I would like to employ somebody who's curious. Curiosity in a person, in a child, is a fantastic trait because it means this person is going to take the responsibility to go and find the answers. I have a lot of respect for a curious person. Also, I want to hear that you take responsibility in solving those problems. I also want to hear that you are human and that you have good interpersonal skills. So no, don't just answer questions with yes or no. And then the last thing that are really, really important is you need to sell yourself. You need to sell your skills and what you're good at. What is important though is your body language. Remember, 85% of your message is communicated through how you sit, how you stand, how you handle the interview. So please walk into the interview room and shake hands if that would ever be possible again, or do the elbow thing, but take the initiative. Don't just stand with your hands by your side. Greet, well, if people can see your face through your mask, okay? But make sure that your eyes are smiling. That, in other words, that you're not just reactive. Be proactive. Take control of that situation in the sense of your own body language. Greet in a friendly manner. Good morning. How are you? I'm so and so. See if you can find the names of the people that you're going to do the interview with in advance. Smile. Do a handshake. Do the elbow shake. Whatever is going to be applicable in that particular situation. Also, please remember that there's a lot of differences in culture. So in the traditional African culture, you don't speak to a senior person unless you are seated, because that would be disrespectful for you to be higher than the senior colored person. So first sit down and then have that conversation. If you are having an interview with a Western person, with traditionally a white person, you need to remain standing until he or she invites you to sit down. And there are many, many things like that that you need to be aware of. And if you're not, you can go and Google that. And there's a lot of ways of finding out that information about how culture can have an impact on the impression you make in an interview. Also, remember to sit forward, never lean back in your chair, don't slouch. Make sure that you really look interested in this job that you're having. So look at this. Only 10% of the impression you're going to make in the interview will be done through words. 40% will be the tone of your voice. 40%. And 50% would be your body language. That is amazing. The way you dress, the way you do the shake, the way your eyes light up, the questions you ask. And please remember this, even if it's your first time that you're doing an interview, make sure that you ask questions. Don't just say yes or no. And a very, very good way to prepare for an interview is do a mock interview with your parents, or perhaps somebody else if it's going to be easier for you. Ask somebody to grill you through an interview. Maybe you know a business owner who have experience of interviews. You can get so much out of a mock interview. Or ask me, I will help you. Some negative signs is crossed arms. Hey, never sit with crossed arms. Often people sit like that, and that's not a bad sign, provided the rest of their body language is positive, because maybe you're cold or you have a boop and it's just comfortable. But you, being on the receiving side of the interview, never sit like this because you're closing yourself up. If you cross your arms, you cross your legs, and you look away, there are now 3 gestures, which means you're not opening up. As nervous as you may be, you need to make sure that you are open. If you blush easily, maybe you feel the redness coming up, that's okay. We all know interviews are scary. Don't touch your face. Your hands should never go above your shoulder or below your hips when you're doing presentations or even in interviews. Don't touch your face because it looks like we're seeking comfort, and also it may look like you're not speaking the truth. Don't shift in your seat, sit still, right? And make sure that you answer all questions. Don't conveniently forget something. Good luck with your interview. I really hope that these pointers have helped you to get that first interview done. And remember, most people who go for the interview will be unsuccessful. Only one person can usually get the job. So don't become despondent if you don't get that interview. But go back, reflect, and just go for the next one again until you find the position that you're looking for.